Islam places great emphasis on helping those in need. Caring for the poor and less fortunate is a fundamental aspect of being a Muslim. Charity, in all its forms, is highly encouraged in our faith. It is a way to show compassion, gratitude, and love for humanity. Among the various forms of charity, Zakat stands out as a pillar of Islam. Unlike general charity, which is voluntary, Zakat is an obligation upon every eligible Muslim. It is a mandatory act of worship that purifies our wealth and benefits society. Giving Zakat is not merely about fulfilling a religious duty, it is about recognizing that everything we have ultimately belongs to God. By giving a portion of our wealth to those in need, we acknowledge His ownership and express our gratitude for His blessings. Zakat is one of the 5 pillars of Islam, alongside faith, prayer, fasting, and pilgrimage. This signifies its central importance in the life of a Muslim. Just as a building requires strong pillars for stability, so too does our faith require us to uphold these fundamental acts of worship. Zakat is obligatory upon every Muslim who possesses a certain amount of wealth for a lunar year. This threshold, known as nisab, ensures that only those who can truly afford it are obligated to pay zakat. The Quran and the teachings of Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, clearly establish zakat as a fundamental duty. It is not a choice, but a divine command that we must fulfill with sincerity and devotion. Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, was known for his generosity and compassion. He was always the first to give, even when he himself had very little. His life serves as a guiding light for Muslims, demonstrating the importance of prioritizing the needs of others. The Prophet, peace be upon him, would never refuse a request for help. He would give freely, even if it meant sacrificing something he himself needed. He taught us that true wealth lies not in material possessions, but in the richness of our hearts and our willingness to share with others. His companions followed his example, striving to be generous and charitable in their own lives. They understood that true happiness and fulfillment come from helping others and alleviating their suffering. Giving zakat brings countless blessings and rewards both in this world and in the hereafter. God promises to multiply the wealth of those who give sincerely in His way. This multiplication is not limited to material wealth but extends to spiritual blessings, peace of mind, and contentment. The Quran describes those who give zakat as being on the path of righteousness. They are promised forgiveness for their sins and a place in paradise. On the day of judgment, their acts of charity will be weighed heavily on the scales of good deeds. Furthermore, giving zakat fosters a sense of community and social responsibility. It strengthens the bonds between individuals and creates a more just and equitable society where everyone has the opportunity to thrive. When wealth becomes a burden. Stories from Sahih Bukhari. Volume 2, Book 24 of Sahih Bukhari contains numerous narrations that highlight the importance of charity and the consequences of neglecting this duty. These stories serve as powerful reminders of the transient nature of wealth and the importance of utilizing it for good. One such story tells of a man who hoarded his wealth and refused to pay zakat. After his death, he appeared before his family in a dream, complaining of being punished in the grave. His wealth, which he had clung to so tightly in life, had transformed into serpents and scorpions, tormenting him in the afterlife. This and other similar narrations emphasize that true ownership belongs to God. We are merely caretakers of the wealth entrusted to us. By fulfilling our duty of zakat, we acknowledge His ownership and use our wealth in a way that pleases Him. Zakat. Building a just and equitable society. Zakat plays a vital role in creating a just and equitable society. By redistributing wealth from the wealthy to the less fortunate, it helps bridge the gap between the rich and the poor. This reduces poverty, inequality, and social unrest. Zakat provides essential resources to those in need, such as food, shelter, healthcare, and education. It empowers individuals to become self-sufficient and contribute positively to society. When people's basic needs are met, they are better equipped to reach their full potential and contribute to the well-being of their communities. By fulfilling our zakat obligations, we contribute to the creation of a more compassionate and just society where everyone has the opportunity to live a dignified life, free from poverty and hardship. Purification of wealth and soul. Zakat is not merely a financial transaction, it is an act of worship that purifies our wealth and our souls. Just as we purify our bodies through prayer and fasting, we purify our wealth through zakat. It cleanses our hearts from greed, selfishness, and love of material possessions. When we give sincerely in the way of God, we detach ourselves from our wealth and recognize that it is ultimately His. This detachment frees us from the grip of materialism and allows us to focus on what truly matters, pleasing our Creator and serving humanity. The act of giving zakat cultivates within us virtues such as empathy, compassion, and gratitude. It reminds us of the blessings in our own lives and encourages us to share them with others. The consequences of neglecting zakat. Neglecting the obligation of zakat carries serious consequences both in this life and in the hereafter. The Quran warns of severe punishments for those who withhold zakat, including deprivation of blessings, hardship in this world, and a painful reckoning on the Day of Judgment. By refusing to pay zakat, we disobey a direct command from God and demonstrate ingratitude for His blessings. This can lead to spiritual stagnation, hardening of the heart, and a weakening of our connection with our Creator. Moreover, neglecting zakat perpetuates poverty and inequality in society. It creates a wider gap between the rich and the poor, leading to social unrest and instability. By fulfilling our zakat obligations, we contribute to the well-being of both ourselves and our communities. Volume 2, Book 24, number 541, narrated by Abu Sa'id al-Khudri. On Eid al-Fitr or Eid al-Adha, Allah's Apostle, p.b.u.h, went out to the Musalla. After finishing the prayer, he delivered the sermon and ordered the people to give alms. He said, "O people, give alms." Then he went towards the women and said, "O women, give alms, for I have seen that the majority of the dwellers of hellfire were you, women." The women asked, "O Allah's Apostle, what is the reason for it?" He replied, "O women, you curse frequently, and are ungrateful to your husbands. I have not seen anyone more deficient in intelligence and religion than you. O women, some of you can lead a cautious wise man astray." Then he left. And when he reached his house, Zainab, the wife of Ibn Masud, came and asked permission to enter. It was said, "O Allah's Apostle, it is Zainab." He asked, "Which Zainab?" The reply was that she was the wife of Ibn Masud. He said, "Yes, allow her to enter." And she was admitted. Then she said, "O Prophet of Allah, today you ordered people to give alms, and I had an ornament and intended to give it as alms, but Ibn Masud said that he and his children deserved it more than anybody else." The Prophet replied, "Ibn Masud had spoken the truth. Your husband and your children had more right to it than anybody else." Volume 2, Book 24, number 542, narrated by Abu Huraira. Allah's Apostle said there is no zakat, either on a horse or a slave belonging to a Muslim. Volume 2, Book 24, number 543, narrated by Abu Huraira. The Prophet said, there is no zakat either on a slave or on a horse belonging to a Muslim. Volume 2, Book 24, number 544, narrated by Abu Sa'id al-Khudri. Once the Prophet sat on a pulpit, and we sat around him. Then he said, "The things I am afraid of most for your sake, concerning what will befall you after me, is the pleasures and splendors of the world and its beauties which will be disclosed to you." Somebody said, "O Allah's Apostle, can the good bring forth evil?" The Prophet remained silent for a while. It was said to that person, "What is wrong with you? You are talking to the Prophet, p.b.u.h, while he is not talking to you." Then we noticed that he was being inspired divinely. Then the Prophet wiped off his sweat and said, "Where is the questioner?" It seemed as if the Prophet liked his question. Then he said, "Good never brings forth evil. Indeed, it is like what grows on the banks of a water stream which either kill or make the animals sick, except if an animal eats its fill, the kadira, a kind of vegetable, and then faces the sun, and then defecates and urinates and grazes again. No doubt this wealth is sweet and green. Blessed is the wealth of a Muslim from which he gives to the poor, the orphans, and to needy travelers." Or the Prophet said something similar to it. "No doubt whoever takes it illegally will be like the one who eats but is never satisfied, and his wealth will be a witness against him on the day of resurrection." Volume 2, Book 24, number 545, narrated by Amr bin al-Harith. Zainab, the wife of Abdullah, said, "I was in the mosque and saw the Prophet, p.b.u.h, saying, 'O women, give alms even from your ornaments.'" Zainab used to provide for Abdullah and those orphans who were under her protection. So she said to Abdullah, "Will you ask Allah's Apostle whether it will be sufficient for me to spend part of the zakat on you and the orphans who are under my protection?" He replied, "Will you yourself ask Allah's Apostle?" Zainab added, "So I went to the Prophet and I saw there an Ansari woman who was standing at the door of the Prophet with a similar problem as mine. Bilal passed by us and we asked him, 'Ask the Prophet whether it is permissible for me to spend the zakat on my husband and the orphans under my protection,' and we requested Bilal not to inform the Prophet about us. So Bilal went inside and asked the Prophet regarding our problem. The Prophet, p.b.u.h, asked, "Who are those two?" Bilal replied that she was Zainab. The Prophet said, "Which Zainab?" Bilal said, "The wife of Abdullah bin Masud." The Prophet said, "Yes, it is sufficient for her, and she will receive a double rewards, for that, one for helping relatives and the other for giving zakat." Volume 2, Book 24, number 546, narrated by Zainab, the daughter of Salama. My mother said, "O Allah's apostle, shall I receive a reward if I spend for the sustenance of Abu Salama's offspring, and in fact they are also my sons?" The Prophet replied, "Spend on them and you will get a reward for what you spend on them." Volume 2, Book 24, number 547, narrated by Abu Hurairah. Allah's apostle, p.b.u.h, ordered a person to collect zakat, and that person returned and told him that Ibn Jamil, Khalid bin al-Walid, and Abbas bin Abdul Muttalib had refused to give zakat. The Prophet said, "What made Ibn Jamil refuse to give zakat though he was a poor man and was made wealthy by Allah and his apostle? But you are unfair in asking zakat from Khalid as he is keeping his armor for Allah's cause, for jihad. As for Abbas bin Abdul Muttalib, he is the uncle of Allah's apostle, p.b.u.h, and zakat is compulsory on him and he should pay it double." Volume 2, Book 24, number 548, narrated by Abu Sa'id al-Khudri. Some Ansari persons asked for something from Allah's apostle, p.b.u.h, and he gave them. They again asked him for something and he again gave them. And then they asked him, and he gave them again till all that was with him finished. And then he said, "If I had anything I would not keep it away from you." Remember, whoever abstains from asking others, Allah will make him contented, and whoever tries to make himself self-sufficient, Allah will make him self-sufficient, and whoever remains patient, Allah will make him patient. Nobody can be given a blessing better and greater than patience. Volume 2, Book 24, number 549, narrated by Abu Hurairah. Allah's apostle said, "By him in whose hand my life is, it is better for any one of you to take a rope and cut the wood from the forest, and carry it over his back and sell it as a means of earning his living, rather than to ask a person for something and that person may give him or not." Volume 2, Book 24, number 550, narrated by Az-Zubair bin al-Awwam. The Prophet, p.b.u.h, said, "It is better for any one of you to take a rope and cut and bring a bundle of wood from the forest over his back and sell it, and Allah will save his face from the hellfire because of that, rather than to ask the people who may give him or not." Volume 2, Book 24, number 551, narrated by Urwa bin al-Zubair and Said bin al-Musayyab. Hakim bin Hizam said, "Once, I asked Allah's apostle for something, and he gave it to me. Again I asked, and he gave it to me. Again I asked, and he gave it to me. And then he said, 'O Hakim, this property is like a sweet fresh fruit. Whoever takes it without greediness, he is blessed in it, and whoever takes it with greediness, he is not blessed in it, and he is like a person who eats, but is never satisfied. And the upper giving hand is better than the lower receiving hand.'" Hakim added, "I said to Allah's apostle, by him, Allah, who sent you with the truth, I shall never accept anything from anybody after you, till I leave this world." Then Abu Bakr, during his caliphate, called Hakim to give him his share from the war booty. Like the other companions of the Prophet, he refused to accept anything. Then Umar, during his caliphate, called him to give him his share, but he refused. On that, Umar said, "O Muslims, I would like you to witness that I offered Hakim his share from this booty, and he refused to take it." So Hakim never took anything from anybody after the Prophet till he died. Volume 2, Book 24, number 552. Narrated by Umar. Allah's apostle used to give me something, but I would say to him, "Would you give it to a poorer and more needy one than L?" The Prophet, p.b.u.h, said to me, "Take it. If you are given something from this property without asking for it or having greed for it, take it, and if not given, do not run for it." Volume 2, Book 24, number 553, narrated by Abdullah bin Umar. The Prophet said, "A man keeps on asking others for something till he comes on the day of resurrection without any piece of flesh on his face." The Prophet added, "On the day of resurrection, the sun will come near to the people, to such an extent that the sweat will reach up to the middle of the ears. So, when all the people are in that state, they will ask Adam for help, and then Moses, and then Muhammad, p.b.u.h. The sub-narrator added, "Muhammad will intercede with Allah to judge amongst the people. He will proceed on till he will hold the ring of the door of paradise, and then Allah will exalt him to Maqam Mahmud, the privilege of intercession, etc. And all the people of the gathering will send their praises to Allah. Volume 2, Book 24, number 554, narrated by Abu Hurairah. The Prophet said, "The poor person is not the one who asks a morsel or two of meals from the others, but the poor is the one who has nothing and is ashamed to beg from others." Volume 2, Book 24, number 555, narrated by Ash-Shabi. The clerk of Al-Mughira bin Shuba narrated, Muawiyah wrote to Al-Mughira bin Shuba, "Write to me something which you have heard from the Prophet, p.b.u.h. So Al-Mughira wrote, "I heard the Prophet saying, Allah has hated for you 3 things. 1. Vain talks, useless talk, that you talk too much or about others. 2. Wasting of wealth by extravagance. 3. And asking too many questions, in disputed religious matters, or asking others for something, except in great need." See Hadith, Num 591, Vol. Il, Volume 2, Book 24, number 556, narrated by Sa'd bin Abi Waqqas. Allah's apostle distributed something from the resources of Zakat amongst a group of people while I was sitting amongst them, but he left a man whom I considered the best of the lot. So I went up to Allah's apostle and asked him secretly, "Why have you left that person? By Allah, I consider him a believer." The Prophet said, "Or merely a Muslim who surrendered to Allah." I remained quiet for a while but could not help repeating my question because of what I knew about him. I said, "O Allah's apostle, why have you left that person? By Allah, I consider him a believer." The Prophet said, "Or merely a Muslim." I remained quiet for a while but could not help repeating my question because of what I knew about him. I said, "O Allah's apostle, why have you left that person? By Allah, I consider him a believer." The Prophet said, "Or merely a Muslim." Then Allah's apostle, p.b.u.h, said, "I give to a person while another is dearer to me, for fear that he may be thrown in the hellfire on his face, by renegating from Islam." Volume 2, Book 24, number 557, narrated by Salim bin Abdullah from his father, Allah's apostle said, "The poor person is not the one who goes round the people and asks them for a mouthful or two, of meals, or a date or two, but the poor is that who has not enough money to satisfy his needs, and whose condition is not known to others, that others may give him something in charity, and who does not beg of people." Volume 2, Book 24, number 558, narrated by Abu Hurairah. The Prophet said, "No doubt it is better for a person to take a rope and proceed in the morning to the mountains and cut the wood and then sell it, and eat from this income and give alms from it than to ask others for something." Volume 2, Book 24, number 559, narrated by Abu Hurairah. We took part in the holy battle of Tabuk in the company of the Prophet, and when we arrived at the Wadi al-Qura, there was a woman in her garden. The Prophet asked his companions to estimate the amount of the fruits in the garden, and Allah's apostle estimated it at 10 ausuk, 1 wasak equals 60 saz, and 1 sa 3 kilograms approximately. The Prophet said to that lady, "Check what your garden will yield." When we reached Tabuk, the Prophet said, "There will be a strong wind tonight, and so no one should stand, and whoever has a camel should fasten it." So we fastened our camels. A strong wind blew at night, and a man stood up, and he was blown away to a mountain called Tai. The king of Ilah sent a white mule and a sheet for wearing to the Prophet as a present, and wrote to the Prophet that his people would stay in their place and will pay jizya taxation. 1. When the Prophet reached Wadi al-Qura, he asked that woman how much her garden had yielded. She said, 10 ausuk, and that was what Allah's apostle had estimated. Then the Prophet said, "I want to reach Medina quickly, and whoever among you wants to accompany me should hurry up." The sub-narrator Ibn Bakar said something which meant, when the Prophet, p.b.u.h, saw Medina, he said, "This is Taba." And when he saw the mountain of Uhud, he said, "This mountain loves us and we love it. Shall I tell you of the best amongst the Ansar?" They replied in the affirmative. He said, "The family of Bani Najjar and then the family of Bani Sa'ida or Bani al-Harith bin al-Khazraj. The above mentioned are the best. But there is goodness in all the families of Ansar." Volume 2, Book 24, number 560, narrated by Salim bin Abdullah from his father. The Prophet said, "On a land irrigated by rainwater or by natural water channels, or if the land is wet due to a nearby water channel, ushur, that is 1/10, is compulsory as zakat, and on the land irrigated by the well, half of an ushur, that is 1/20, is compulsory as zakat on the yield of the land." Volume 2, Book 24, number 561, narrated by Abu Humaid as-Sa'idi. The Prophet said, "There is no zakat on less than 5 ausuk of dates, or on less than 5 camels, or on less than 5 awaq of silver." 22 Yemeni Rials Faransa. Volume 2, Book 24, number 562, narrated by Abu Huraira. Dates used to be brought to Allah's Apostle immediately after being plucked. Different persons would bring their dates till a big heap collected in front of the Prophet. Once Al-Hassan and Al-Hussein were playing with these dates. One of them took a date and put it in his mouth. Allah's Apostle looked at him and took it out from his mouth and said, "Don't you know that Muhammad's offspring do not eat what is given in charity?" Volume 2, Book 24, number 563, narrated by Ibn Umar. The Prophet had forbidden the sale of dates till they were good, ripe, and when it was asked what it meant, the Prophet said, "Till there is no danger of blight." Volume 2, Book 24, number 564, narrated by Jabir bin Abdullah. The Prophet had forbidden the sale of fruits till they were ripe, free from blight. Volume 2, Book 24, number 565, narrated by Anas bin Malik. Allah's Apostle forbade the selling of fruits until they were ripe. The Prophet, p.b.u.h, added, "It means that they become red." Volume 2, Book 24, number 566, narrated by Abdullah bin Umar bin al-Khattab, gave a horse in charity in Allah's cause, and later he saw it being sold in the market and intended to purchase it. Then he went to the Prophet and asked his permission. The Prophet said, "Do not take back what you have given in charity." For this reason, Ibn Umar never purchased the things which he had given in charity, and in case he had purchased something, unknowingly, he would give it in charity again. Volume 2, Book 24, number 567, narrated by Umar, "Once I gave a horse in Allah's cause, in charity, but that person did not take care of it. I intended to buy it, as I thought he would sell it at a low price. So I asked the Prophet, p.b.u.h, about it. He said, 'Neither buy nor take back your alms which you have given, even if the seller were willing to sell it for 1 dirham, for he who takes back his alms is like the one who swallows his own vomit.'" Volume 2, Book 24, number 568, narrated by Abu Huraira. Al-Hassan bin Ali took a date from the dates given in charity and put it in his mouth. The Prophet said, "Expel it from your mouth. Don't you know that we do not eat a thing which is given in charity?" Volume 2, Book 24, number 569, narrated by Ibn Abbas. The Prophet saw a dead sheep which had been given in charity to a freed slave girl of Maimuna, the wife of the Prophet. The Prophet said, "Why don't you get the benefit of its hide?" They said, "It is dead." He replied, "Only to eat, its meat is illegal." Volume 2, Book 24, number 570, narrated by Al-Aswad. Aisha intended to buy Barira, a slave girl, in order to manumit her and her masters, intended to put the condition that her al-wala would be for them. Aisha mentioned that to the Prophet, who said to her, "Buy her, as the wala is for the manumitted." Once some meat was presented to the Prophet, and Aisha said to him, "This meat was given in charity to Barira." He said, "It is an object of charity for Barira, but a gift for us." Volume 2, Book 24, number 571, narrated by Atiyah al-Ansariya. The Prophet went to Aisha and asked her whether she had something to eat. She replied that she had nothing except the mutton, piece, which Nusayba, Atiyah, had sent to us, Barira, in charity. The Prophet said, "It has reached its place, and now it is not a thing of charity, but a gift for us." Volume 2, Book 24, number 572, narrated by Anas. Some meat was presented to the Prophet, p.b.u.h, and it had been given to Barira, the freed slave girl of Aisha, in charity. He said, "This meat is a thing of charity for Barira, but it is a gift for us." Volume 2, Book 24, number 573, narrated by Abu Mabad, the slave of Ibn Abbas. Allah's Apostle said to Muad when he sent him to Yemen, "You will go to the people of the Scripture. So, when you reach there, invite them to testify that none has the right to be worshipped but Allah, and that Muhammad is his apostle. And if they obey you in that, tell them that Allah has enjoined on them 5 prayers in each day and night, and if they obey you in that, tell them that Allah has made it obligatory on them to pay the zakat which will be taken from the rich among them and given to the poor among them. If they obey you in that, then avoid taking the best of their possessions, and be afraid of the curse of an oppressed person, because there is no screen between his invocation and Allah." Volume 2, Book 24, number 574, narrated by Abdullah bin Abu Awfa. Whenever a person came to the Prophet with his alms, the Prophet would say, "O Allah, send your blessings upon so-and-so." My father went to the Prophet with his alms and the Prophet said, "O Allah, send your blessings upon the offspring of Abu Awfa." Volume 2, Book 24, number 574, narrated by Abu Huraira. The Prophet said, a man from Bani Israel asked someone from Bani Israel to give him a loan of 1,000 dinars and the latter gave it to him. The debtor went on a voyage, when the time for the payment of the debt became due, but he did not find a boat, so he took a piece of wood and bored it, and put 1,000 dinars in it, and threw it into the sea. The creditor went out and took the piece of wood to his family to be used as firewood. See Hadith. Num 488b, Vol 3. And the Prophet narrated the narration and said, when he sawed the wood, he found his money. Volume 2, Book 24, number 575, narrated by Abu Huraira. Allah's Apostle said, there is no compensation for one killed or wounded by an animal or by falling in a well, or because of working in mines, but kumus is compulsory on rikas. Volume 2, Book 24, number 576, narrated by Abu Humayd al-Sa'idi. Allah's Apostle, p.b.u.h, appointed a man called Ibn al-Lutbiyah from the tribe of al-Ast to collect Zakat from Bani Sulaim. When he returned, after collecting the Zakat, the Prophet checked the account with him. Volume 2, Book 24, number 577, narrated by Anas. Some people from Urayna tribe came to Medina and its climate did not suit them, so Allah's Apostle, p.b.u.h, allowed them to go to the herd of camels, given as zakat, and they drank their milk and urine as medicine, but they killed the shepherd and drove away all the camels. So Allah's Apostle sent men in their pursuit to catch them, and they were brought, and he had their hands and feet cut, and their eyes were branded with heated pieces of iron, and they were left in the Hara, a stony place at Medina, biting the stones. See Hadith, Num 234, Vol 1, Volume 2, Book 24, number 578, narrated by Anas bin Malik, took Abdullah bin Abu Talha to Allah's Apostle to perform tonic for him. Tonic was a custom among the Muslims that whenever a child was born, they used to take it to the Prophet who would chew a piece of date and put a part of its juice in the child's mouth. I saw the Prophet, and he had an instrument for branding in his hands, and was branding the camels of Zakat. In conclusion, Zakat is an essential aspect of Islamic faith and practice. It is a fundamental act of worship that purifies our wealth, benefits society, and brings us closer to God. By embracing the spirit of giving, we not only fulfill a religious obligation, but also cultivate within ourselves virtues that are essential for our spiritual and social well-being. Let us strive to understand the true meaning and significance of Zakat. Let us make it an integral part of our lives, giving generously and sincerely for the sake of God. May our acts of charity be a source of blessing for ourselves, our families, and our communities. Remember, the true value of wealth lies not in its accumulation, but in its utilization for the benefit of others. Let us use our blessings to make a positive difference in the world and earn the pleasure of our Creator.